Metta retreat.
Yeah, what is it?
Loving kindness.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
What's the Tibetan term?
Oh, Maitri.
Maitri, yeah,
Yeah.
same thing. Metta, it's
Metta,
called
Maitri.
in Theravada Buddhism, yeah.
Cool.
So what are the biggest difference between the Theravada Buddhism and Mahayana?
Lots.
Tell us.
Yeah, there's a surprising amount of differences between the various lineages and what they study and the way they approach it, and I think the meditations are different that they do. Things like that. I mean,
Which one is this?
this is Gelugpa. What we're studying is Gelugpa. This is and I
It's
think
the Dalai Lama's
Dalai Lama.
lineage, right?
I think the Theravada is like one of the oldest.
It is the oldest.
Yeah.
It's the form of Buddhism from the time of the Buddha, and is still existent throughout Southeast Asia today.
Yeah, and there's like Padmasambhava started the Nyingma tradition, and Jason Kopp started the Gelugpa tradition. And hello.
Sorry, I'm late.
That's okay. What's your name?
Yelena.
Yelena. Pleased to meet you.
Ago with Amanda.
Oh yes, that's right. I knew I recognized you. Yeah. Do you have?
There's also places.
You can sit up near the front if you like.
Oh,
Yeah,
there's
I
three
will do that.
right up here.
That's good. So, I'm sure you guys had fun with Christine last week. She's great.
We couldn't.
Sorry, I missed that.
Oh, you couldn't? That's right. I knew that. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. You'll get her again.
She was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been studying for a long time. So let's open with our prayers. We do this crazy mudra with our hands, which you don't need to do. You can simply make a bowl. And the idea being, and you've probably done stuff like this with Theravadan, but it's we're chanting a verse where we're basically we're asking for teachings, and we're offering a mandala for the teachings.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do this.
Yeah. Marge, do you want to start us off?
Sure. Sa-shi.
Buki Juxing Me To Drum Ri Rabling Shi Nyen De Gen Padi Sangye Shindu Mi Te Uwa Gi Dro Gunam Shing Ma Chu Pa Sho Tan Shi Ba Du Da Ni Kap Su Chi Da Ki Jin Gi Pe Sunam Ki Drola Pen Shi Sangye Ju Pa Sho Shudan Soki Cholam La Chan Shu Ba Du Da Ni Kap Su Chi Da Ki Jin Gi Pe Sunam Ki Drola Pen Shi Sangye Ju Pa Sho Chudan Soki Cholam La Chanchu Padu Daki Kapsu Chi Daki Jinyan Gipe Sunam Ki Drola Penchir Sange Drupasho. So let's do a little meditation. We'll prepare for meditation, and you can do that with your eyes open or your eyes closed, depending on what your preference is.
is the traditional way, though, in this lineage?
Well, in this lineage, they often say close your eyes and with the option of slightly opening them if you're drowsy and letting the light in.
Mm-hmm.
I've been meditating for 20 some years, and I meditated with my eyes closed the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And I recently began to meditate with my eyes open, and I'm finding that I enjoy it. There's a lot of benefits to meditating with your eyes open. But I don't think I would have been able to do it in the beginning. Yeah, I think I would have found it very distracting to try to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's take a few moments here to get in touch with the body. Feeling the weight of your body as it connects to the earth. So you're casting your mind's focus and feeling the sensation of your body, feeling the physical sensation of your body touching the earth, which would be your cushion or whatever it may be. And so this would include the sensation of your hands resting on your legs. And how to use this to pull the mind into the present moment, to make it easier to let go of the past and let go of the future, is to let go of any mental image around the sensation. And even noticing the pictures that come up in your mind, or the thoughts, or the sentences, depending on what happens for you. Everyone's different. You may notice that along with the feeling, you may have a mental picture of your legs touching the mat, or your hands touching your legs, or the thought of, oh, that's my leg. That feeling is my body. That feeling is my legs. So try to let go of that, and you can use that you can use your exhale to release that, and simply come back and just focus on the sensation alone. And try not to put a label. Try not to put a preconceived label on it. And that way, you're constantly perceiving, you're constantly in the moment, experiencing the moment, without the mind using preconceived notions and having to do what it naturally does, which is try to figure everything out all the time. And the mind is very quick, and it tries to place a label on that makes sense to it in regards to the past and the future. So the simple tactile sensations of the body can be a very powerful object to focus on. Now let's focus on the feeling of the belly as it fills with breath and releases breath. Just notice the sensation. Trying to feel it. Just notice the feeling. And discarding the mental image as best you can. Getting a little more subtle, let's move our focus to the tip of the nostrils. Now watching for physical sensation at the nostrils as the breath passes here. So now it may take a little more fine-tuning of the mind, a little more focus of the mind, bringing the mind even more acutely here because of the necessity of what it needs to do, which is try to detect coolness, whatever it may be, that as the breath passes, there may be warm coming in, or cool coming in, or warm going out, depending. Now, shift your focus to the feeling that you have about you. What am I? Who am I? Am I my body? Is that who I am? Am I my name? Is that who I am? Am I things that I am capable of doing? So we get a general sense of this me. When we think of ourselves, if someone says, you meet somebody and you're, hi, pleased to meet you. I'm John. Pleased to meet you. I'm Yamana. There's a thought, there's an idea there. Is it a changing thing? Is it permanent? Does it always stay the same? Is your idea of who you are different than it was 10 years ago? Do you think that that same you think you are will be the one that's viewing the you of the future 10 years from now? As you think about that and how you perceive your world now, your experience of the world, your experience of your body, and your experience of your mind, is that the same as the person that was learning their ABCs? Is that the same as the person who learned to drive, got their driver's license? How is it happening? Why is it that the perception of you now is just the way that it is? What has made that happen? Was it all just random? Was it out of your hands? Did the choices that you make affect how you see yourself now? So let's just close the meditation by thinking of a teacher, a guide of whoever you feel right now is your guide, your teacher. And see them there before you. As soon as you think of them, they're right there. Bow to them. Bow to them 3 times in your mind. Make them some kind of offering in your mind. Give them a gift of flowers or music or food or your practice. Make them some kind of offering. And as you're doing that, you feel the warmth of their love for you, their timeless wisdom as they gaze upon you. Make some kind of confession. Just tell them something that is on your mind that you wish you had done differently in the last 24 hours, 48 hours. Could be anything, something small. I got impatient. I got impatient in a lineup at the store, and in my mind I was angry at the person who was a new person. They were taking so long to bring me through. I'm just angry at them in my mind. Little things like that you can just confess and say, oh, I didn't have compassion. And then tell them something that you're really happy that you've done in the last little while, something that you've been working really hard at, or just something that an offering that you made, or some struggle that maybe you were having that you placed your mind to it in such a way that you wanted love for everyone. It could be anything. And then tell them about something that someone else has done that you're really excited about, that you think is amazing, someone else is doing. Rejoicing in the goodness of others. Very powerful karma. Then ask them to stay. Please stay with me until I'm totally enlightened. Ask them to keep teaching you in ways that are clear. Please keep blessing my mind, igniting my capacity so I can understand more and more. And then especially ask them right now, because we're going to talk about the 4 principles of karma. You ask them to help you understand in your life karma. Just ask them really strongly. Please help me. Help me have a mind that understands my actions have consequences, my thoughts have consequences, the things I say have consequences. Help me know this and help me believe it and understand it so that I can put causes into place that will help me and every other one, every other person. Help me understand this idea. So that when I look back, so 5 years from now, when I look back at my life, I can say that I acted that way. And now, as I see myself 5 years from now, wiser, happier, more content, may I be able to see that it was from my actions and thoughts, deeds, my speech. And they happily, of course, agree, and they lift in the air in front of you, shrink down to about the size of your thumb, and turn around to face the same way you are, and they land on the crown of your head. And then they melt into your crown and melt, travel down your spine, down your central channel, and land in your heart, where you feel them in your heart. And then this wish of your ability to understand karma and thus help yourself and all others is so strong. It ignites, and your wish for them to help you lights them up inside your heart, and they fill your heart with light, and that light fills your body with light, and then that light bursts out the pores of your skin. And light rays come out of your skin and touch the heart of every being in all directions. And everyone becomes free, peaceful, content, happy, and rejoice in their freedom. Allow the light to come back into your heart. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. So that's a good example of if you've got any kind of thing you're trying to understand, you can do that kind of a meditation, and you don't have to do that whole preliminary. I just added that in there, like where you think about who you think you are, and stretch it over time and back and forth and like that. That was just sort of get us into a position of kind of a space of mind where we consider the changing nature of the perception of who we are, because that's all that we are at any point in time. is the appearance of what we believe that we are in that moment, and there isn't anyone other than that. And it's wonderful to sit and meditate and try and find a different self. Try and find a self that's any other self other than that. Because it seems like there's this being it seems like there's this kind of unchanging sense of a self that we hold on to that stretches out and has been traveling and has been like the same and experiencing through and it really feels like that. And this is the self that we protect and the self that we try to cultivate. And this is the self that we're always trying to, wanting people to see that, really hoping that people think it's wonderful. So much so that we will fantasize about it. And even though we have no idea about what people think about us, we have no idea. We think we know, and we want to know. I don't know how long ago it was, but I would catch myself when I was, I don't know, maybe it was like 6 years into meditating and stuff like that. I was starting to really get into the workings of my mind and be able to witness myself doing things in the world that was really freaking me out. And I would catch myself doing things like having fantasies about me, right? And I would catch myself just, I don't know, in some reverie, I'd be like in some reverie, imagining a couple people talking about me, right? Yeah, that John guy, I don't know what it is about him, but there's just really something about that guy. It's just amazing. And then it goes, yeah, I agree. I don't know what it is about that guy. Just there's something about him. And just sit there and just like, oh yeah. and then catch myself, right? And go, what's wrong with me? Because the scene wouldn't even exist. Wouldn't even have happened, right? And you start to notice these things, and then that begins the unraveling of the ego. That's the beginning of the unraveling of this ego, and the most powerful method is to then begin to identify this me, right? Like what me? What me that I think that I or wish I was? And what me that I wish everyone else thought I was? And why would I be happy if I had? And how would I even know? Why would I be? Why would I be happy? Who would be happy? Who would be happy if I had a consent? Oh yeah, I can look at my book now. Okay, there's 58 people that I know. They all think I'm really cool. Yeah. I feel good today. Or it's the opposite. You got slow self-esteem or whatever, and then all of a sudden you go into something and this horrible feeling of, well, nobody likes me. I'm not worthy. Nobody likes me. I show up at work and people disrespect me. Disrespect who? This is the thing. This is the main idea behind, I think, all spiritual practice. Any spiritual practice that's going to function is going to go after the self that separates itself from the world and separates itself from the divine, because it can't help it. It can't help it because it only knows itself. But if we can get our mind around the fact that we don't exist like that, the way that we think we exist. We definitely exist, and there's definitely a self, but not quite the self that we believe. When you're a Buddha, there will be a self. The Buddha perceives. There will always be something that's happening. And when there's something happening, there will be a self that you're experiencing in relation to that thing happening. And that's how we know ourselves. But why? Why is it that one day you feel really great, I'm at the top of the world, and then the next day you feel like a piece of crap? Nobody likes me, I'm failing at this, oh, woe is me. I'm going down, I'm going down. Then 2 weeks later, you're on some upward spiral. Everything's working out. Everything's working out. Looks like I might get this promotion at work. Got a new girlfriend. Who knows? Oh yeah, there's a concert coming up I'm going to go see in 2 weeks. Awesome. Like, so there's something that is forcing the perception of the you, of the me. It's no accident. What is it? Is it God? Is there is it omnipotent? Is there an omnipotent being saying, okay, Greg, this is who you are right now, right? Is that what's happening? But tomorrow, Greg, it's not going to be so good for you. So enjoy the day while you can, Greg, because tomorrow I'm going to make sure it's different. Or is it all just, a big crapshoot? Never know what's going to happen. Then, if that's true, well, then what's the point? Most people have like a mixed bag on that. Most people like really believe, really believe in like an omnipotent God when things are really, really bad. Oh, please, I'll be good from now on if you just can change this situation for me. Because we're suspicious. We're suspicious by nature, like the rabbit's foot, right? Yeah, yeah. If I stroke the lucky rabbit's foot, maybe I'll get that promotion. And there's some part of the mind that will actually have some kind of crazy hope that somehow that's gonna somehow affect the situation. But the Buddha said that's all crazy. There's such a thing as karma. There's such a thing as the ripening of karma. So there's some of you in some hot shots in the class already who can tell me, what is karma?
You want us to answer?
Pardon?
You want us
If
to
you'd like to
answer?
take a shot, yeah. What is? This is like a class of what is karma?
Thought process.
A thought process.
Well, your thoughts.
Yeah.
I-
You're
it's like I'm
close.
not-
It's just going to be a one sentence answer. It's not a big speech. Yeah, this is like, what is any movement
Any movement
of the mind? Any movement of the mind. So the Buddha said, any movement of the mind is karma. So here's where it gets confusing sometimes, is because so if there's karma and there's a result of karma. So when it's tricky, because if you have a thought, you just created some karma, right? And why they say any movement of the mind is karma is because before you do it, you think it. So it starts there. It's like raw karma, your thought. And then it would be stronger if you then took that thought and, it's like, oh, it's not like a karma to say, okay, like I'm hungry. You wouldn't say like that's like a neutral situation, but it's more like the next thing, I'm hungry. I'm gonna go to the store, and I don't have any money, but I'm gonna go to the store anyway, and I'm gonna steal an apple. Like you haven't stolen the apple yet. You're already creating karma. You're already creating a result, thinking, okay, I'm gonna steal from someone. And then you're walking to the store, thinking about the whole thing. You're creating karma the whole time. Because every movement of the mind is karma, and since there are 65 moments of mental perception every second that makes life seem like a seamless situation, you're planting that many seeds every time you're thinking, yeah, that apple. And thinking about how am I going to do it? Well, I'll go in there and I'll wait till she's not looking. Or maybe she'll be at the cafe. I'll just grab the apple and go to the store. No one will know. They won't even care. It's just an apple. Boom. You just planted a bunch of karma. And then you go into the store, and then you do the deed, and you're out. You go to the store. Then the karma has just increased because you saw the apple. You knew, okay, it's not my apple, but I'm going to take the apple. Boom, took the apple. You saw it happen. Walked out of the store. You're happy you got the apple. And the mistake in the mind, now this is the great delusion of all time, the Grandmaster delusion, Grandmaster Flash delusion, is believing that, what a great apple, I feel so good. Believing that was is a result of stealing the apple.
But enjoying the apple is the result of stealing the apple.
Yeah.
Like, so enjoying the apple is the result of another karma.
Yeah.
Of a good karma.
Yeah. And that's why karma is so darn confusing, because of the time gap. Because there's a gap between what we plant and what when the result comes. And there's some other karma hotshots in the class that will say, if I say, okay, when you plant a karma, when can it ripen? When? What's the classic answer? When?
When the conditions are right.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That'd be more like maybe how, or what? That'd be more like a situational. But when? In the times. There's 3 times that it can ripen. 3 p.m., 5 p.m., and 7 p.m. No. What are the 3 times that they can ripen? Well, let's just think. I stole the apple. There's no way that I could get that result in this lifetime. Couldn't happen. Doesn't matter. If I stole 1,000 apples, it wouldn't matter. If I couldn't experience that in this lifetime. Impossible. True? Yeah, it's true. It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's not. So karma could ripen in this lifetime.
Easily.
Okay. Well, that's good because then that's it. Karma can only ripen in this lifetime, so I don't have to worry about other lifetimes. They're just that I get a clean slate. Every time I die, I'm down to 0. I can begin again. I can steal apples again in the next life, and it's down to 0 again.
No.
No? No, you're saying, so it can ripen in the next life too. Okay, so now we have karma can ripen in this life, in the next life, and I guess one more life, that's it. Then I'm cut off. That's the cutoff point. It's like, what? No. You mean it can ripen in other lifetimes besides the next life? How many?
Infinite.
Infinite. Any other lifetime after that. That's what they say. It can ripen in this lifetime, or the next lifetime, or any other lifetime after that. because it travels. It travels. Yes.
If it ripens now,
Yeah.
is it done with, or can it show up again
It,
future lifetimes?
It's only done. Okay, that's a very good question. Before I answer that, it's a good question because it leads me into what I was going to say next. So we've just said, we've also, okay, sure, that makes sense. I steal the apple. That's going to come back this lifetime, next lifetime, or any lifetime after that. In order to buy this idea, you have to believe in past and future lives. You have to believe that this lifetime is not the only lifetime, right? So, and according to, we don't have time to dive into the proof of this right now, but according to the Buddha, and if you logic it out, you will ascertain that there was no beginning to your lifetimes. It's countless. There's a part of your mind that always was, just always was, and always will be. It just is. It's this fluctuation of mark, himana. It's just this. That's a fluctuation. That's a ripple in the pond of your mind. It just comes up and goes. And according to Buddhism, it's a blink of an eye in relation to the billions of lifetimes that we've lived. So everything that you're experiencing right now, you could have planted that last life, this life, or any life previous. You see, it goes back that far. So, bite the apple. Well, you could have planted the cause for a nice crispy apple to make you feel good. To get the result of that, you could have planted that 20 lifetimes ago. There's no way of, they say that the only way that you can actually know that is if you're omniscient, if you're a Buddha. Only a Buddha knows, only a Buddha can say why it is that, we're looking at a wooden floor. In every aspect of your karma. So, you get your head around that, and then so it turns you to ask the beautiful question, is it done? Okay, so let's say I've stolen the apple, and in between stealing the apple and the ripening of that result, I attend some Buddhist classes. I have the good fortune of getting some download about Buddhism and about karma. And then it's maybe 5 years later. It's 5 years later, and I come home from work, and somebody has kicked my basement door in. And I walk in, and it's like, oh my God, they stole my television and my camera. And karma grows. Karma grows. That's why a small negative act can ripen as a large negative act, and a small positive act can ripen as like a miracle. Or a small act of kindness can ripen later as someone doing you a great favor that really changes your life. So, oh my God, I've just been broken into. I've been stolen from. There's no way of knowing, unless you're a Buddha, that it was the apple that you bit. You don't need to know that. You don't need to know what you did to make it happen. All you need to know is that it was karma. That's all you need to know. This is the beauty of it. You just need to know how the machine works. You think, okay, wow, I have stolen from others in the past. That's how this happened. That's the only way this could have happened. And how you purify the karma right in that moment is you sit there and you don't judge anyone for what has happened. You know, you can, in your mind, you can think, oh, it's too bad that those people will get the karma of stealing. And you could even say, well, I'm sorry that my karma made them come here. You can think, I'm to blame. I'm to blame for this, and may this karma be done. May this moment be the final moment of whatever karma I did, for the sake of all beings, you know. And depending on where you're at and how savvy you are, if you're in a Lojong class, you could even say, in fact, I hope that no one gets stolen from, ever. I hope that this is like the final stealing. I hope it ripens upon me, you know. You see, this, and this is where it's important to understand that any movement of mind is karma, because that's a virtuous thought, right? So you have all these choices in that time. You can get home and go, oh my God, I'm going to try and find those people. I'm going to hurt them. I'm going to phone the police, and then when they come, I'm going to pray that they find them, and when they find them, I'm going to personally punish them. I pray that they pay. I pray that they pay in spades for what they have done to me. To me, right? How dare they? To me. It's so simple, and that is pretty normal. Like that thought process of how could they? Those are some bad people. I hope they get punished severely for what they've done. I hope they get caught. I hope they suffer. And if I get a chance to, I will make them pay myself. That is the thought process. That kind of thought process has been the thought process that has created all suffering. That kind of thought. So you can use the thing by simply going over the karma and going, okay, all right, may it be done. May it be done. It's not that you have to like it. It still sucks. It was still a violation of your private property. It was still a violation. And if you really want to purify it, then what you do is you immediately, great, awesome. You close the door, if you can, and you run inside and you sit down and you go into meditation. You go, awesome. How do I feel about this? How do I feel about this? And then you feel directly the result of the invasion, all that's making you go through, the self that you relate to, that is having that experience. And if you can hold the line and think, okay, this is all the karmic ripening brought on by what I've done in the past, you can do a massive purification of the karma in that moment, right on the spot, directly. And then your work as a Buddhist is done. Then you go out and live on with the rest of the thing, call the police, whatever it needs to be done, but never judging. Yes.
So, is it for someone that's working to be a Buddha?
Yeah.
Is it Buddha-like to call the police?
Just close the screen now. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's okay. Like,
Yeah, it's like okay. Let's put it this way. Here's a different kind of scenario. Let's say you're walking through a park. You're walking through a park and you see some young kid, and he is walking up behind an older lady. And he's like, oh my God, he's going to steal her purse. And he reaches up and he's tugging on her purse. So what you're saying is, should I just stand there and let it all happen?
no.
Right, no. As a bodhisattva, you run over there and you stop it, and if you have to punch the kid, you punch the kid.
No.
But the whole time,
You don't have anger in you.
and that's where you have to be careful. right? It's like you can judge the situation, but not the person. Then you're in trouble. Because we don't really know. We don't really know. Unless you're about it, you don't know who each person in that scenario is. So yeah, you phone the police.
So I have a case, like my case. We've seen like a yoga dealer that lives in my street.
Yeah.
And it's like very obvious to us.
Yeah.
And I was about to call the police, but then I prefer not to because I haven't seen him harming anyone.
Yeah.
You know?
What is it? What?
He hasn't been harming anyone.
Yeah,
or
it's a
we
drug
haven't-
dealer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we haven't seen,
Oh,
like
yeah.
basically someone that wants drugs just get hold of me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was like, what to do? You know, would it be good to call the police and just let them know that there's someone like to make the report?
Well, if in your world you believe that this person is harming other people by doing what they're doing, and that you know that the police, it gets really tricky.
Yeah, it does.
It does get really tricky. But like, what kind of drugs are they selling?
Yeah,
Do you even know,
exactly.
right? So.
And like, but like, I still have the thought of like, if it's not him, the person that wants it's gonna get it somewhere. Like,
Well, you can try and save them from the karma of selling drugs to children, right? I mean, by phoning the police. But you have to be very careful in your mind.
and this was actually like when I was about to phone, and then I let it pass a couple of days, and then I spoke to my mom, and she also studies Buddhism, and she was like, but I think there is a very different situation in Mexico. Like, if I call the police in Mexico, they would treat the person really unfairly.
Yeah.
Like, way more. Maybe
Yeah.
they will they would just try to make it bigger,
Yeah.
because the police is very unfair.
Yeah.
I don't know the police in Canada, right?
Yeah.
But I believe it's a little more fair than
Yeah.
they're corrupt.
This is an interesting thing, right? Since we just noticed that,
Yeah.
and we had an intention, like I haven't seen it since,
Yeah.
right? So
Mhm.
I took a picture of him.
Mhm.
He was really close.
so now it's
Now
been
he
like
has
how
me
long?
there. He was like,
Well, if
Months, you know?
if he's selling drugs on the street, he's doing it illegally, right? I mean,
Weird.
he's not doing it in one of these new places that are
yeah,
popping
like
up.
he's not just meet people in the house. We know where
Yeah.
the house is.
Yeah.
Like, he just meets people in Burrard, which is
Yeah.
like, or tries to meet people in a.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to receive.
No, if people are breaking the law and you can do something about it, you can, and you do, and you just have to be careful with your motivation. What is your motivation? And do I want that person to suffer, or am I doing it? Am I doing it because I want that person to suffer, or am I doing it because I want them to be free?
Actually, the day I called was because I was scared.
Right.
Because I was on my bicycle.
Yeah.
He was walking like this. I stared at him too much.
Yeah.
He changed his direction, and he
Yeah.
saw where I like my house.
Right. So then
I was scared.
Yeah. No. You take action if it needs to be taken, and yeah.
So okay, I just wanted to ask. Basically, there's also a side where we know that karma will always get the job done.
Yeah, but you
That's
can't be
true.
like that. I
Why
mean,
not?
you can't be like just okay. Well, whatever. Karma will sort the whole world out. I mean, what are you gonna do then? What are you gonna just let everything let? What are you gonna? I mean, be a parent and then just not discipline your kid when they're about to do something crazy? Oh yeah, no, karma will do it for me.
Well, I think it's a matter of picking your battles.
Well, of course you have to pick your battles.
Yeah.
I mean, of course you have to pick your battles.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. I mean, it's in the small things that it's like every person will have their own personal way that they help the world, and you do have to pick your. I mean, it's like what do they say about if you go to India and you're walking the street, there's going to be 40 beggars. You got to pick one,
Yeah.
right? You just pick one, and that's your guy every day. You just, okay, you're the guy, because there's too many, right? I mean, you have to pick your battles. And of course, everyone's karma will sort itself out in the end, but don't you want to help? Don't you want to help people get there quicker? You know, and because if you get your head around, if you get your head around, like, it helps your mind, because you can't fix anybody's karma. You see, it's absolutely impossible. If you could fix someone else's karma, we'd all be enlightened.
Yeah.
You know, or the Buddha's a total jerk, right? Or all the countless Buddhas are all like, they don't care about us at all, right? Then that's right. You can't. But if you understand how karma works and trying to help others achieve whatever they want to achieve, and that is going to directly influence your mind stream, and you're going to see yourself become a Buddha quicker, then you become the ultimate helper. If you want to help people, then become a Buddha. How are you going to become a Buddha? Planting the right karma. How are you going to plant the right karma? Help people. And then you're in the game. Then you're really in the game, you know, to actually teach. Because you can't do it the Buddha can only teach. That's the highest quality of the Buddhas is the fact that they can speak, because they certainly cannot, you know, it's like they can't fix your karma, but they, you know, so it's like, that's why they say the Dharma is the highest offering. It's the highest gift, because it's higher than giving things. Because you can give someone food, but what if you teach them how to have the karma not to be hungry? How to have the karma to actually not have to worry about food and have food, and then actually be able to give others food. Then they have food for all their lifetimes until they don't even need food anymore. Like, that's the power of the Buddha's word. It's the only thing that can help us is the Buddha's word. So we're getting way off track. Yeah.
So I just had this dilemma a couple of years ago where karma being that I'm trying to look at sort of the things that are going on in the world that I find to be evil.
Yeah.
And how I'm participating in that. And I did research and looked at a couple of documentaries, and I realized by paying my taxes, I'm contributing to actually, you know, help propagate evil on the other sides of the world. So, so do I have, like, how do I?
You know what they say? You know what I've heard said about this? You're allowed to write a letter and say, I do not want any of my taxes to go towards this war. Who's going to say that that's what's going to happen? But you have to pay your taxes, because it's nice to have a road, and it's nice to have running water. It's nice to have school systems. But if your government is going to go bomb somebody, and you're like, well, how are they going to do that? How are they getting money to that? Well, I'm buying the bombs with my income tax. Then they say, then you write your government. You just say, you know, my name is Mark, and I've been paying these taxes, and I do not support this. I do not support this.
But it's just symbolic, really.
What do you mean?
I mean, yes. I mean, in principle, I agree. I mean, Canada is becoming a more warlike nation now, but like, you can do that, but it doesn't really mean anything. It's just they whoever reads that understands your intention, that obviously you don't want your money going towards this, but you're still paying the same amount of money unless you hold back
But
your
the
taxes.
motivation.
No, but that's the point. What isn't symbolic, my friend?
Fair enough.
You see, the important thing is that you made the movement of mind to try to make the effort, and that's what counts. You have no control over what happens when that money gets out of your hands into their hands. You have no control over that whatsoever, you know. But in your mind you'll know. Well, you know what? At least I did something.
Will let karma do its thing?
Pardon?
We'll let karma finish it up then.
Well, yeah. I mean, karma will always. You can't fight karma. Karma's like gravity. It doesn't care. This doesn't have feelings. Sure.
Just wondering, isn't ultimately the motivation behind you paying your taxes, does that have an input on how it's going to ripen in the future? So if you're
Well, that counts for not only taxes but every single thing. Every single thing. So yes, of course, your taxes.
so let's say you're paying your taxes and you know that part of those taxes are going to go to this war,
Mhm.
but that's not the reason why you're paying your taxes.
Mhm.
Then is that going to result in a ripening of your home being
Well-
bought in the future?
Well, think of it this way. Any movement of mind is karma. I just paid my taxes. I sure hope that they buy a bomb with that money. Just paid my taxes. God, I hope that doesn't. I hope this war effort just stops. You know. But I hope this money helps some homeless people. I hope this money goes to funding for schools. I hope this money goes for like that. It's all because you don't have any control over it. But you see, what we're interested in is how do we like, because karma is, we're not in control of it. We can't, it's forced, that's the whole thing. It's forced upon us, right? Karma ripens. We don't get to choose. We don't get to say, okay, today, I'm going to go to work today and I'm not going to break my arm. We don't get. Oh, I'm gonna go to work today, and on the way, I am going to stop and get a lottery ticket, and I'm gonna win. We don't. There's no. I'm gonna come home today, and my wife is gonna, tell me she loves me as soon as she sees me. Like, we don't have any control over what ripens. So. We believe that we have control, and we'd like to believe we have control. So the motivation behind anything that we do is so important. Yeah.
So this law of attraction movement, teases us about us having control of what's going to happen.
Yeah. You mean like thinking really hard about something that you want?
Yeah.
Yeah. You see that. That could have, like, what's your motivation, right? If thinking really hard about,
To bring it into existence.
okay, well, I know someone who has a beautiful daughter that has all kinds of problems. Why don't we all just sit down tonight and and think about, I really want her to be better. I really want her to be better. I really want her to be better. And just think that. It doesn't work like that. I mean, that may, because we can't affect her karma. We can't. But we can bring ourselves a pleasant result by wishing someone else to have freedom from their suffering. And we can think, okay, the law of attraction, I'm going to affect the universe. And depending on your motivation, you're going to get, because there's a time gap, it may seem like you got that just from thinking. Because.
So is it possible to ripen a karma on your law of attraction?
Sure. So what do you mean? Was it possible to what?
So let's say, like, I want a boat, right?
You want a what?
A boat.
A boat, yeah.
So by using the law of attraction to attract the boat in my life,
Yeah.
and and I get the boat, but actually I don't get the boat because of the law of attraction itself. I just listen to the law of attraction thing so much in Vancouver. Anyways, and then I attract the boat in my life, and I actually have see that this is a result of karma, previous karma. No.
Well, you see, you either have you either have the karma to see the law of attraction work, or you don't.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
You mean you raise your karma to a certain level
Well,
where
it's
you
like this.
where you
It's
can-
like this. Okay. If in previous lifetimes you have been generous enough, it may be that in this life you have the perception of what appears to be the law of attraction bringing a boat to you. It's very subtle.
Yeah,
You
but
see,
the key word is appears.
yeah. So what I was trying to get to is that we want to live in a world where, like, right now, if you're a normal human in this world, you can't go through a day without killing something. You can't walk over a piece of grass without killing something. You can't eat rice without many little creatures. It's like, how big did they have to be before they count these beings? How many little beings got annihilated through the harvest of rice, right? There's war. People are being killed. People are being, it's just, there's lots of amazing and beautiful things happening, and there's lots of other crazy stuff happening. And why, if you see your world like that, and believe me, not everyone sees their world like that. If you see your world like that, there's a reason for it. It's a karmic arising of living in a realm like that, where people just seem like lost and confused and spinning around. If your karma was different and you saw yourself differently, you would see it differently, and you would experience it differently. I can't explain it because it's going to get too crazy, and it's really getting on in class. Because I do have to give you a couple of things that we're supposed to do in this class. We've been talking about it. I need to tell you the 4 principles of karma, and I just have been telling you the 4 principles of karma by having this conversation. The first principle of karma is that karma is definite. And when they say karma is definite, they mean something specific. They mean that the actions are certain to produce similar results. So that means that if you do a virtue, if you do something kind to someone, it is certain to produce a similar result. You will experience a pleasant result from that. And vice versa. If you treat someone unkindly, even if you think of someone unkindly, you know, like it's really profound when you start to really watch your mind, because there will come a time, if it hasn't happened for you already, where you stop treating people horribly. You just stop doing it. You stop saying things that hurt people, and you stop doing things that hurt people. But then it'll be harder to think, and then pretty soon you'll stop thinking. Yes, Marge.
So if you're practicing and you stop saying things and doing things to the best that you can,
Yeah.
but you still have the thoughts that come up.
Yeah.
And you want to just, it's like, oh, there's that bad thought again. So that's when you get on your cushion, right? And that's when and is that when in meditation, like when those things just keep coming up and up and up again, right? Like it's like you don't act on it, or you think, oh,
Yeah.
I'm having this jealous thought about somebody, but you don't act on it, you
Yeah.
don't do anything, but it's there, that thought
Yeah.
appears, and it just, when just,
Yeah, you're killing it. You're killing that jealousy by not allowing the jealousy to inspire your movements. By actually, like right, okay, because that's what will happen. You'll stop doing it. You'll stop saying it, but it will still be in your mind. Like, just come on, right? Come on, do it, and you'll be like, no, because you will hurt me. This will hurt me. This will hurt me. This will hurt others, and it will hurt me. And it will run out. It will eventually evaporate in your mind. And you won't have that. That just won't be an issue. And it will be like it never was. That's how clean it will be. So when you stop doing those things, that's what will happen. It will be the mind, and then the mind will diminish, right? And that way, that also gives you strength, because, that gives you strength to handle those situations, and it also gives you strength when you're experiencing a low self-esteem. There's so many people that have low self-esteem. They just beat themselves up. They'll use anything. They'll even use their spiritual practice. I don't meditate enough. I suck. I mean, he just will use anything, and that's like that is just a result of like putting people down in your mind, like I don't know how many times in my life when especially in my early years of being a musician, very competitive, I remember this one time, oh God, I was in this band, and I was a lead guitar player for this band, and then something ended up not working out, and I left the band, and they hired another guitar player, and I heard, he's not happy with that guitar player because he won't use distortion. He just plays clean, and he doesn't use distortion. And then, so then I went out to watch the band later, and I saw this other guy playing guitar, and I was like, yeah, that's not me. There's a big hole there where I was, and I was happy. I was happy that I was missed. That's horrible. So that's me like reveling in like, and the thing about it is, we even know, like, there's a part of our minds that always knows that this is wrong.
Do you have any tricks?
Was that?
Do you have any tricks?
I have lots of tricks. I have countless tricks. I've tricked myself out of trouble so many times.
Yeah, for stopping thinking like negative of other people, because I've got myself many times.
I'll tell you one thing that works is this is a good one actually. You think for a second. Everyone, okay. How is everyone equal? What?
Everyone wants to be happy.
And?
Be free from suffering.
Everyone wants to avoid pain, right? And everybody wants that. And everything that everyone is doing is serving that. No matter what they're doing, whether they're selling drugs, right? Or whether they're being, like, they all have that motivation.
Thinking.
So you think that, and then in your mind, you just think, may you be happy and never suffer. You just replace that thought.
What?
May you be happy and may you never suffer. You take that thought that was being negative, and then you make yourself equal to them.
Mhm.
You make yourself equal, and then you go one step further, and in your mind you wish, may you be happy, and may you never suffer.
Yeah, and then it would be, of course, it would be complete like doing like planting the seed and digging it and putting the water when you say something like, "Oh, she's doing that. Oh, she will have a bad karma, or he will have bad karma coming back." Or,
If you gloat,
like
yeah.
if you rejoice in the fact that they are gonna
yeah, you're in trouble. Yeah,
suffer.
you've created some trouble for yourself.
I know, like I've
Yeah.
had it before,
It's kind of-
right?
yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
a relief. Oh yeah, they're doing that bad, but they're gonna have the bad karma.
Yeah, and no, this is what we do. This is what we do. This is what human beings do, and this is what has created samsara. Is that we've all done all those things, and it's when you begin to stop, you really notice it. You get worse, but you don't get worse. You're just finally noticing.
Okay,
Mhm.
then there is a trickier one. When you're in a place where there is talk negative of other people.
Yeah,
Like,
run. No.
No, but
Yeah.
like how do you just stop it in a way that it's not like it's like saying or
Like
saying,
being proud, being like.
Yeah, how do you stop that in a way that it's not like, hey, stop talking negative about other people? You know?
Okay, you know what?
The way you did it is just fine.
What's that?
What she just said.
No,
Stop talking negatively about other people.
And this is where. See, this is
Well, you
where
can,
this is
but
where you have to be careful,
you don't
though,
have to.
right? You have to be like, if there is an ounce of judgment towards them in your heart, do not speak.
Mm.
And you
Do not
listen
speak.
and try
Just stand there and don't participate, and try and emulate what's in your heart, and think in your mind, this is a result. My ears are burning from this. This is a result of me being divisive. This is a result of me talking behind people's back countless times. And you just kind of maintain that. And if the opportunity arises, you can say, this is what I've done. This is what I've done in the past. I've said things like, can we stop talking about that person? Because it makes me feel gross. I just feel, you don't put it on them.
Mhm.
You say, whenever I talk about like that behind someone's back like that, I always just feel really gross. I feel for me, can we stop? Can you do me the favor? I've also I seen one guy do this, which I thought was amazing. It was one of those things that it was the boss actually. The boss was talking about an employee that wasn't there, putting him down.
Mm.
And the one guy said, "I'd like to go to the bathroom, but I'm afraid to go because you're gonna start talking about me as soon as I leave, right?" And that was like, the jukebox just came to a stop right there, and everybody got quiet, right? And then the boss thanked him later. He said, "Yeah, you're right. You made me think." So it's like you have to be very careful about being, because nobody likes someone who's righteous. So you have to make it about you. Make it about you. And sometimes the best you can do is just stand there and just not participate and take it. And if you go about trying to purify divisive talk from your mind, trust me, you'll run into all kinds of hornets nests like that. All kinds of hornets nests and harsh words, and you'll have a thing like, "Oh, I'm purifying this from my world," right? So, yeah, stuff like that. You can get fun and creative with all kinds of situations like that. All right, that was the first. Okay, what's the first principle of karma? Tell me.
It's definite.
It's definite. And what does that mean?
It's related to a specific event.
So good leads to good, bad leads to bad. Boom. We finally did one thing right in this class. I'm just kidding. I mean, I shouldn't say we. I mean, it's 8:30. I'm just getting my first homework question out. But it'll be quick. Okay, the second principle of karma. It increases. It grows. It grows. And in the same way that you plant an acorn, and 50 years later there's an oak tree.
Who decides when it shows up?
Who decides when it shows up? When the causes and conditions are right, it shows up, and it's no one gets to decide that. It's like, if we could, I wish we could. There's nobody other than you. There's nobody other than us. There's nobody other than me that would dictate that. Like, whoever I was in the past, and like, for instance, we're going to talk more about these things in later courses, but our karma will ripen faster if it's done with more emotion, and it'll ripen faster if it's done to like a higher object, for instance, which is good news if you have a lama and you have a lot of devotion and you do something kind for your lama, or you serve your lama, and in your mind is like this motivation. I want to serve my lama, or I want to do something kind for someone that I believe is a helper in the world, so that I can become enlightened to be like them or whatever. Like, that's a very powerful karma, and the possibility of that ripening very quickly is possible, much more possible than just a very neutral kind of karma, like maybe you give a loonie to a person on the street and you don't think too much about it. It's just kind of neutral. Oh yeah, here's a loonie. Keep on going. That will have a result, but it will be smaller and slower. It will be smaller and slower because the perception of the object is also important. Like, how you perceive the object will dictate the kind of karma that ripens and how fast it ripens.
I'm trying to get at, like, if I steal that apple,
Yeah.
I like to see the result right now. So somebody can break into my car and it's done with.
Yeah.
If it goes on for a few lifetimes, it's going to be bigger.
Yeah, that's what they say. They do
So
say. They
I
do
would
say.
rather it be done.
Yeah, and that's, of course, we
You don't have a choice.
yeah, but I mean, that's why they have karmic purification practices where you
Right.
the four forces, where you try and you negate karma, you lessen the power of by movements of your mind, by thinking of it with intelligent regret, with with refuge, right, and have an antidote and all that. But we can't do that in this class. But because karma is empty too. Karma is also not self-existent, which is how you can affect it. That's like a deep end question right there. That's like, take a dive off the high board.
Yeah, that's like
Yeah, we're not
way
gonna,
up there.
we're not going to go there right now.
No.
But because I mean, we've all seen. I mean, so karma, everything is like relative and symbolic of everything else in a sense, where like everything's a metaphor for everything. It's like cycles within cycles within cycles. Like there's a day being like a life. Of waking up and sleeping as in living and dying, or but we've all had experiences where you get, maybe you do something like positively, you do a positive thing and you keep feeding that positive thing, and then we see it grow in our lifetime, and it affects us and it grows, and it seems like that, like it travels in a line. And also something negative, right? You do something negative, and then it just like it compounds in your mind and repeats, and you think about it over and over again, and it becomes worse, right? It shapes who we are. So in that sense, also in the kind of invisible realm of our mind, it's also doing that. So it's growing. So that's how it's possible to become totally enlightened in one lifetime, if you have a lot of renunciation and you really practice with great motivation. You can plant some really powerful karma because it grows, And so, anyway, third law. If you didn't do the karma, you'll never get the result. If you didn't do the karma, you can't get the result.
So that would mean, according to your earlier example, someone breaks into your house and steals a bunch of your stuff.
Yeah.
You would have had to have stolen stuff at some time in the past. It could be a million lifetimes ago.
Yeah. According to the Buddha, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's the door to freedom right there. Like that's the door. Understanding that is the doorway to stop blaming. It's a doorway. It's the key to stop blaming, because it's blaming others for our reality that gets us in so much trouble.
Can animals collect karma of stealing? Like a dog?
They would have to think they were stealing.
Okay.
Yeah.
If they are not thinking they're stealing.
They're not stealing if they're not thinking they're stealing.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think they have that mental capacity.
Probably not. I mean,
that
stuff
self-awareness.
just grows everywhere, all over the ground. They just eat everywhere.
Yeah. Just take it.
I don't think that they think of stealing. But they do have, they can think that they're
being bad.
Yes.
maybe,
Yes.
because you can train them, right? You can train
Dogs
them,
should know it.
like
For
stay
sure.
off the couch, right? Stay off the couch, and you can see they're up on the couch and like, I'm being bad, and then they
Yeah.
right?
That's definite.
You can see that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Stealing's a human thing.
And what about disability? Like if I was born with a disability,
Uh-huh.
what kind of
Yeah.
karma would I have?
Well, they're right there. I mean, that opens up a whole realm of like, well, there has to be past and future lives if you are born with a disability. I mean, you had no time. You didn't have time to create that in this life. So, you see, this is the thing about karma is whatever disability you have, and however you experience your disability. You see, it's not it's not black and white like that. Like it could be that you're born with a disability and it ends up being a good thing. And maybe that's a good karma. Maybe that's like exactly the thing that
Caring for you.
it's hard to say, right? But however, if it makes you, if it's a negative thing, then they would say that that's the karma of harming others, of not taking care of life. Like, if a person is born in this lifetime and they're sick a lot and they die young, it's from harming others in other lifetimes. And we have, like, anyway, okay. So, because the Tibetan Buddhists are so thorough with their lists, it's like actions are certain, right? Good leads to good, bad leads to bad, karma grows, and then I just said, if you didn't do it, you can't get the result. But and then the next thing is, if you did do it, you must get the result. You must get the result. That's the fourth law of karma. So now we're going to quickly go over the 6 sufferings of a human life. So why would we talk about these things? This is the thing about the Lord Buddha and his teachings, is he was the one that stood up and said, you know what, all life is suffering. You people are suffering, and there's a way out of suffering, right? He's like, hey, all of this existence that you guys are experiencing is suffering. There's an end to it. It can end. And, no, sorry, that's out of order. All life is suffering, and there's a cause for it. There's a cause for it. And then there's an end to suffering, and there's a cause for that too. There's an end and a path. So these are like to show us, to motivate us to want to get out of this situation that we have become complacent with. Because according to Tibetan Buddhism, according to Buddha, the goal in Buddhism is not to make a nicer samsara. It's not to cope. Okay, it's to actually get out of samsara. And so right now we're going to talk about the 6 classic things of the sufferings of a human life that humans normally go through, and don't really think of it as suffering. Because I should say, don't think of it as something that is unescapable. Because it's like, yeah, that's life. That's life. Yeah, that's life. That's your karma. It's like you don't have karma, you are karma. You don't have karma, you are karma. The whole thing that you see yourself as is karma going off. Bang, 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 bang. And it can change. Well, it's changing all the time, but the perception of you having a living body can just change like that. And it's the karma changes. But, okay. Here's the first one. The problem that life has no certainty. In other words, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know, we put all our store, and we put all these causes into place and think that, and hope, and maybe this will happen, maybe that. We don't. We don't have any idea. We can't control it. It's like, and that's a form of suffering. It's a form of suffering to be plagued by never knowing if you're going to get into a car accident or not. Never knowing if all your efforts are going to bear the fruit of the result that you think that you want. It's not, there's no certainty. It's like you have the karma for it to happen or you don't have it to happen. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we think. The karma is going to come through or it's not going to come through. And we can put causes into place for things to happen, but the problem is life has no certainty. That's a problem for us. And it's not a problem that we have to live with for all eternity. We can change that. Okay. The second problem, we always want more than we have. We're hardwired to want more. Is that?
Greed.
Yeah. We're never satisfied. As soon as we get something, we want something else. And then when we do get something, it's good for a while, and then it's like, I want something else. I want something else. It's like, that's how consumer capitalism just, that's the whole, if we didn't have that problem, they would be out of business, basically. If we could be content, yeah. So we believe the ads because we want to believe the ads. We want to believe. There's some part of us that's like, yeah, if I get that product, I will experience this thing they're advertising. You know? And it's like a subtle thing that moves in the mind that you can catch and you can stop. And you can be content with what you have. The third problem. We have to keep losing our bodies over and over again. Right? We put in all this time and effort into keeping our bodies all nice and healthy, and then it ends. Aging. We die. The body dies over and over and over again. So the problem, what we want to do is have the type of body, experience yourselves with the type of body that doesn't happen to anymore, right? A Buddha doesn't have a body like that anymore. Like they don't have the karma to have a body like that anymore. And if they can have the appearance of having a body like that if it helps somebody, but they're certainly not suffering. They're certainly not suffering in a body like that. So,
and when that body dies, it will not be reborn, right? If they're actually a Buddha.
Yeah, that's right. There's no more, yeah. I mean, a Buddha can be reborn if they want to be reborn. and it would be like just for the benefit of people, and that would be the only reason. And because
like Jesus.
like Jesus, yeah, Jesus was the Buddha for sure. A Buddha. I mean, there's no mistaking about him being a Buddha. Yeah, but see, he actually, if the scriptures are true and what happened is true, he actually, came back, and some people had the karma to see that, and some people didn't. It's like, it's such a beautiful thing. It's such a beautiful teaching on emptiness, right? Because you've got a whole bunch of people that saw him as holy, a whole bunch of people that saw him as evil, and he got crucified. And it's like the Dalai Lama, right? We saw him, we walked over, there was a bunch of people like protesting him.
Yeah.
That guy's evil.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So,
big time. Huge.
So if the Dalai Lama was like a Buddha from his own side, if he was inherently a Buddha, then everyone would have to see him as a Buddha. So it's like that's how karma works, you see. If the only way that karma can play its role is because of the emptiness side of things. Because I have no self-existence. Everyone here is seeing me differently. I could be speaking and you could be hearing these words, and in your mind, you could see me as a Buddha. You could totally see me as a Buddha. And it would be no contradiction if in your mind you saw me as a Buddha and I saw myself as a normal person. It would be no contradiction. Because it's your karma that forces you to perceive the world the way that you do. And vice versa. I could see myself as a totally enlightened being and be completely aware that no one else does. Yeah. Or it's totally possible that each and every one of you in this room are totally enlightened beings, just aware that I need to plant the karma that I need to become a Buddha, and I'm so close, so close, right? You guys are all hanging out, and you're like 2 feet to heaven, going, "Let's go help Johnny out down there. He's getting really close. He's got to say some stuff about Buddhism just to help him finish. Let's go down there and pretend we don't know, and he'll get his little papers out and start talking, and he'll be done before you know it." I don't know. I can't prove that it's not that.
Oh, he busted us.
No, but it's very similar.
Gotcha. What?
So the people that put Botox in them, they're not for me.
The people that
Botox.
The Botox,
Botox, oh yeah.
But for me, it doesn't look aesthetic. But for them, it should look fabulous.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
there's also something called delusion.
Well, beauty. Oh, don't get me started.
Self-delusion.
Well, there's no. Yeah, I mean, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and so is ugly. Yeah.
By what you were just saying, everything, according to the law of karma, everything is within the eye of the beholder.
Absolutely, brother.
Radical thought.
It's a very radical thought. And if you can embrace that radical thought, yeah, you want to talk about some slippery perceptions in your life and think, wait a minute, all these things I've been assuming, right? All these things I've been assuming about every single thing in my life and all the people around it, right? Because I've been assuming that these qualities are like radiating from them. And if those qualities are radiating from them the way it appears, then everyone would see that. Like what would a beautiful person really look like? Right?
There's no answer.
Right? That person's beautiful. No, they're not. They're beautiful to you.
Right.
In order for a person to really
How
be beautiful, right? What would they have to look like? They'd have to have what kind of nose, right? What kind of eyes? We could finally say, here is one. We can all agree this person has just the cheekbone and they have just exactly the chin, and we can all agree this person is really beautiful. That doesn't exist.
That's what the industry does.
That's what?
I took a makeup course.
try to make.
Right.
Oh, good.
And they told us the whole point of the makeup is to make like with the eyes, lights and shades
Yeah.
to look like this, like a perfect
Yeah.
stereotype, which
Right.
is like this and like
And it's someone's idea, right? Someone's just idea of like this is what beauty is, and of course it's going to change, right? It's going to change, and I don't know. It's so ironic. How many of you have like left the house looking like a dump and then meet your girlfriend or your boyfriend? It's like, how'd that happen? I was like looked like crap that day, And I think usually that's when it does happen. I think if you meet your natural partner, be when you're like you're the most yourself, right? And they however they see you, it's like it's not your fault. like give them the credit for that, right? If they say, "Oh my God, look at you, what a piece of machinery you are," if they say that, you're in danger if you think, "Yeah, oh yeah, what I did to create this kind of piece of machinery is like I did."
and their karma is looking.
Yeah, you're in trouble at that point. You're in trouble. It's like, but you're so not in trouble if you think, "Oh, I bow to their virtue. I bow down to the virtue you've done to shine that light upon me, to make me see that way. I hope it keeps going, right? Because if it doesn't, it won't matter how much you comb your hair. You'll look like crap to them. You'll be like, what'd you do? You don't look so good today. That wasn't your fault either. Right? So if you want a beautiful partner and you want your partner to continue looking beautiful, then put the karma there. Or they will change. They will change. Okay. So now we've decided it's a problem because we're always dropping our bodies off. And the next problem is we have to get another one. Right? The fourth problem is, well, not only that, but we have to get another body. Another suffering body. One of these times it'll be the last body that you drop, and the body that you perceive yourself having will not be a suffering body. It will be a body made of light. Light. Okay. The fifth problem. First high, then low. First high, then low. We're all the roller coaster of things are great. Lennon Marute, he's got a famous one. If you're not having a disaster right now, you're just in between one.
Cheery guy.
Right? It's like, so this is a problem that we experience our lives like that. That, oh my God, I'm so depressed. I've been depressed for a month. I know a guy that's been in a bad mood for 40 years. He's been on a serious low. And inside that bad mood, he has got these other little cycles up and down, up and down, up and down. Like something happened to him when he was 20. Like a brief emotional, this is what we do. A brief emotional outburst involving another person happened when he was 20 years old, and he's still angry about it, and he's been in a bad mood about it, and he's 56. And it has tainted his whole life. And that doesn't have to be like that. It
This
doesn't.
is someone you know?
Yeah.
Is this person receptive to Buddhism?
No.
No, doesn't
No.
sound like it.
No.
Because otherwise they wouldn't be in that mood anymore.
No, they probably wouldn't. No, this person is actually believes in like Christianity heavily, and I don't see that it's helped him. Anyway, but you can look back in periods of your life where it seemed like things were going really great, and then it changed, and it's like low, and it's high, and it's low, and it's high, and it's low, and it's high, and it's like the very fact that you're going up means you're going to come down.
No.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. It's like the reason why you're dying is because you were born. You started dying as the moment you came out of the womb, or if if you're a Buddhist, then at conception, you're sort of dying at conception. Because the karmic force of having a body and this life is just, it can't last. It's going to run out. But it doesn't have to be like that. You could have a mind that is not influenced in that way by whatever appears in your life. It's that, the appearances in your life, the constantly shifting appearances of your life, do not have to make you feel high, 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 low, low, low. You can have a different kind of a mind that's free of delusion.
Is impatience how to stop impatience?
How to stop impatience?
Yeah.
Well,
like there's karma, but how does impatience?
Well, to stop impatience, you have to decide what you're impatient about, for one thing. Like, you have to go to, okay, what is this thing that I want that I'm unhappy that I don't have it?
Like,
And, yeah,
like sometimes I crave for a cookie.
yeah,
And then I'm impatient about the cookies.
right. So then
That's
But
desire.
that's a big
That's not
club.
impatient. That's not,
What's that?
I'd call that desire.
No, but you can have desire and be patient, and you can
Sure.
have desire to be impatient too. So it's like desire and impatience are two different
Sure.
things, right?
Yeah.
So then you would sit in the moment and think, okay, why do I think that this cookie is going to fix this moment? Like, why do I believe? And you think, well, I don't really know that. And what if then you could say to yourself, like, good Lord, what if I never get the cookie? What then? Right? Like, and you can ask yourself questions like, okay, how much power am I giving this cookie anyway? I'm giving this cookie a lot of power. And then think, why do I feel discontent? What is it about me? What is it about this thing that's I'm not happy in this moment? I need this cookie to fill this moment.
I put it down.
And then so you can do that, and you can change the impatience to wisdom by thinking like that. And then if you want to stop impatience, then you would karmically address it too by being patient when you can be patient, and noticing that you're patient, and being patient with people, giving people your time, giving people things. And if it happens to be cookies that you're always impatient for, then go buy 100 cookies and give them away, all away. Like, because basically it's just not being happy that you're without something, and believing that when you get it, that hole will be filled, like that.
Isn't it? Just wanted to answer. If you look at a plant, for instance, and you're growing a plant,
Yeah.
you're cultivating plants, and you just can't wait for it to bloom, right?
Yeah.
But you can't force it. You can't do anything.
Right.
But when eventually that happens, it's something special. There's
Mhm.
something sacred about it.
Okay.
And if you
If
had
you say
to,
so.
if you had to
Yeah.
just have bloom, you would lose that. There's
Right.
there's a lesson in.
You're talking
in the
about there's something
process.
about the beauty of anticipation. As in. But what you're basically saying is the law of there ain't no left without no right.
Mm.
If it was all blooms, you could never wait for a bloom.
Mm.
You could never have the experience of waiting for a bloom if it was all blooms. And not only that, blooms would be boring.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's like the law of relativity. Like,
You need both.
you need both.
Yeah.
You need, like, we depend on those opposites in order for reality to even work.
Yeah.
Because there ain't no high without no low.
Mhm.
For sure.
Mhm.
And so the idea being that you can get to the place where you look at the bloomless plant and you experience bliss. You look at the bloom, you experience bliss. Yeah. You drive down the street, You get a speeding ticket, you experience bliss. You get to work on time, you experience bliss. You get to work late, you experience bliss. And it doesn't matter. Because you're not concerned about what everybody thinks about you. That's not the basis for your highs and your lows. It's not the basis for your emotional satisfaction, because you don't need a basis for emotional satisfaction because you're already satisfied, right? And that's the thing, right? Okay. First high, then low, and one more. Sixth one. The problem that no one can come along with us. This is speaking mainly about what, do you think?
Okay.
Death. Mainly about death. We're alone. Ultimately, we're alone. And at the point of death, it sucks that we have to go alone and that we lose everything at the point of death. We lose all our material possessions that we've spent so much time and effort into acquiring, and all the friends and all the, everything that we have, family, all our dear loved ones. At the moment of death, no one can take you by the hand and go with you. You're alone. And that's a form of suffering. That's one of the sufferings of having a human body. Going through death after death, being alone every time. You have a lifelong partner. That's why they say ultimately you're alone. You may not feel alone with your beautiful partner, and you can be with them for 50 years, 60 years. But at some point, one of you will be sitting there, one of you won't. Because someone's going to die, right? Like that. So that if you reach enlightenment, total enlightenment with a different kind of a body, and you're not like having that human body anymore, that doesn't happen anymore. You're just, you're not losing anything. You're not gaining anything. All right, one more question and we're done. So this was all to say, okay, right, this human realm is not going to work out. I've tried so many times to try and make being human be how I've tried to cope with samsara. I've tried to make samsara work out so many times. It hasn't worked out yet. It's not going to work out this lifetime. These are the 6 ways that humans suffer. What am I going to do about it? What am I going to do about it? Okay. I am going to stop trying to acquire worldly things. I'm going to try to stop having my happiness depend on worldly successes, how much food I have, how much money I have. I'm going to stop putting all my eggs into that basket and try to shoot for something higher. I'm going to try and shoot for total enlightenment. Okay, I get it now. I finally get it. It's been 3 trillion lifetimes. Okay? I don't know what I was doing for those trillion lifetimes, and I don't know why I had to die that many times, but it's getting old now. Right? The novelty's worn off. Okay? I learned I'm going to try and become a Buddha now. And it might take me 7 lifetimes, it may take me 10 lifetimes. Maybe I can do it in this lifetime, but I will now turn my mind towards that goal. And in fact, I'll have my mind turned toward that so much that everything in my life will begin to feed that. Everything in my life will begin to fall in order of that. People will start to understand that I'm not going to be available from this time to this time because I'm meditating. I'll go to classes. I'll start doing this. I'll start doing that. I'll start being kinder to people. I'll start, every single time I have a bad thought, I'll consider where it comes from. Every single time I have someone does something negative to me, I'm going to think about where it came from. Every single time that I have an opportunity to help someone. If I can, I will, and I'll know why I'm doing it. You know, things like that. And it's all going to be because I want to become totally enlightened for the sake of every living being, and that's why. You know, like when you reach a point in your life when you're thinking like that 24/7, then you have developed true enunciation. That's when you've developed true enunciation. In other words, that's when you finally have renounced trying to make samsara work, trying to make samsara work out. And believe me, being a practitioner for years now, renunciation is a beautiful thing, and it goes in levels. It goes in levels, and you'll keep finding those little ways in your mind. You're like, oh yeah, I really am trying to still make samsara work. Damn. And then you'll go after that, and you think, okay, you know, yeah, my mind is, and then you'll clean that up, and then after a while you'll just be like, okay, this is what's important to me, and everything. It's so important to me that it has like gravitational mass. Everything will revolve around that in my life. You know, it's like when I was, when I was bent on becoming a rock star when I was 20. I mean, that had gravitational mass. That had like everything in my life served that purpose. My poor girlfriends. That was first, always. I didn't care. The job was secondary. Everything was secondary, other than like playing my guitar and getting gigs and trying to be somebody. I really tried to be somebody. It sure didn't work. I really wanted to be somebody so bad. I can't even tell you how bad I wanted to be somebody. So, can you take that kind of desire and flop it over and say, okay, it's Buddhahood now. Trade rock star for Buddhahood. It's the same desire. We are creatures of desire. It's the same desire. So make it work for you. So the moment that you can say, yes, 24 hours a day, I'm thinking, how am I going to become a Buddha? And thinking like, okay, what am I going to do today? Okay, do those activities line up with my goal? When you can say that, then you have reached true enunciation. I mean, if you haven't reached true enunciation, then you'll have some level of renunciation. If you're in this room right now, you have some level of renunciation, for sure, or you wouldn't care. There's lots of things to do in this town that would serve you differently. There's a million things you can do. Anyway, so that's the class. That's the class. Thank you for coming. We'll get Marge to lead us again on prayers. Go, Marge, go.
Oh.
Pardon? It's Sashi, and then Gewa. Buki Jukshin Neto Dramri Rabling Shi Nyendegen Padi Sange Shindu Miteowa Gidro Kunanda Shingla Chupasho Idam Guru Anandotam Dike Wokum Sunam Yeshe Yogzokshin Sunam Yeshe Lejunwe Dampakuni Topasho. Thank you, everyone. And there's a class tomorrow night here, so you don't.
Alright.
We'll just put everything away. Just, I'll press stop on this.